Hi, it's Dr. Nuesse from Brand New Weight Loss, and in this video I'm speaking specifically to people that have maybe dieted 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times or even more. So you've yo-yo dieted many times, you've lost a bunch of weight, maybe regained it, maybe even regained more weight, and every time you do, you feel like it is getting harder and harder to lose that same amount of weight, and you say things to yourself like, maybe I'm just too old, or my hormones are shot, or my metabolism is shot. So in this video, I want to give you a very specific reason why it gets harder after you continuously cycle your weight or yo-yo diet. And it's not specifically because of your age, but it's because of all of the subsequent dieting. And we in our office call this ratcheting, and I often use this example specifically with our clients. So if this following example sounds like you, then maybe this information will help clarify your struggle. So if you're a person who has potentially gone on a diet, maybe a very aggressive diet where you're cutting out a lot of foods or really, really low calories, and you lose a bunch of weight, and then life just happens. I mean, you can't sustain some of these really crazy diets for life. They're not meant for that. So life happens, you go on vacation, it becomes the holidays, whatever, you go away from the diet, and then you unfortunately gain the weight back, and then you get sick of being the weight that you are, and you go on another diet or maybe the same diet, and you lose weight again, and then again life happens and you regain the weight again, and maybe even go up from the weight that you started at. And then you do this a number of times, and as you kind of progress, you start noticing that it is more and more difficult to get that scale number to move down, even though you're doing very similar things to what has worked in the past. So I'm going to again use kind of a visual representation called ratcheting that we use with our clients to explain exactly why this might be happening. All right, and I'm going to try to make this visual example as straightforward as possible. I realize everybody's going to be different, but again, just to make it as simple and straightforward as possible, let's say you start off at a certain weight and you've got this much muscle mass and this much body fat. And then you go on a diet, you cut calories, you cut carbs, whatever. Whenever you do that, you are not only going to lose body fat, but you will always lose a little bit of muscle mass. And in some of these really extreme diets, you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. So again, just to make this as simple and straightforward as possible, let's say you lose the same amount of muscle mass and body fat. And then again, life happens, you get bored, whatever, you regain the weight. Now, it's very difficult to regain the muscle mass. You have to strength train, eat a certain way. You know, it's tough to put muscle back on once you lose it, but the fat cells are just sitting there. So you can easily just refill them. So now you've regained weight, and now you've got this much body fat and this much muscle mass. And then you start another diet, or maybe the same diet that you just did. And then you lose weight again, and muscle goes down and body fat goes down, and then you regain weight again, and now you've got this much body fat and this much muscle mass, even if you're just going back to the same weight, and maybe you even gain more weight. And then you just continuously do this. And the problem people run into is that you just can't keep pushing down your muscle mass. We often in our office see clients that are 30, 40, maybe 50% body fat, and that's because they just continuously diet and they have very little muscle mass and all of this fat tissue. So everything that makes up their body, their bones, their blood, their organs, everything, some of these clients, that's 50%, and 50% is just body fat. So with clients like these diets, and I'm going to put that in quotes because what I mean by diet is doing something extreme just to manipulate the scale, just to get weight to go down. Diets will fail, and it's not because of hormones, it's not because of age, it's because they can't manipulate that lean tissue, that muscle mass, like they could earlier. And I'm going to quote an article from WebMD, What Happens to Your Body When You Yo-Yo Diet. So when you drop pounds from your body, you lose both fat and muscle. When you gain it back, fat gets the fast lane and builds up first. But your appetite stays in high gear until your muscle returns, which means you keep adding fat. And also, I'm going to refer to a 2015 study. This is deep body composition phenotyping during weight cycling, meaning yo-yo dieting. Relevance to metabolic efficiency and metabolic risk. Quote, there is evidence for an increased ability of fat storage in subcutaneous fat deposits at the trunk in men and the limbs in women with weight cycling. So with yo-yo dieting, fat builds up. So that is the problem, but I'd be remiss if I didn't offer a solution. And the solution, while it does require some work, some personal reflection, some effort, is focusing on body fat loss. And there are ways to do that. We certainly have programs that we take our clients through that focus specifically on body fat. It is a step-by-step kind of process. It's almost like, this is a bad example, but a bad analogy, but it's like baking a cake. It's a recipe. You've got to follow it step by step. And if you follow a recipe, you put flour and sugar and eggs and water in a bowl and mix it up and bake it for this time, and use the recipe exactly as it is prescribed or laid out, you get a cake. But if you put flour and sugar and water in a bowl and for whatever reason you don't have eggs, so you pour in some pickles, you still cook it for the same amount of time, the same temperature, it comes out all screwed up. So just changing that one ingredient messes up the whole process. So you need a plan that has every step in place and you are willing to follow every step. That's very, very important. I will leave links to what we do in the description box below where you can be pre-screened for one of our programs. I hope this was helpful and gives some of you out there some clarity. Until next time, stay happy and stay healthy, and I will catch everyone in the next video.